G'day, we're here at Rube's Good Brain Coffee. This is Dutch, and I want to show you guys a bit of roasting on our Aillio Bullet R1. As you can see, it's still snowy out there, even though there's a bit of ice melting. Still, in here is 78.8 degrees. Okay? That's because even though we don't have any heat back here, we do our roasting in the sunroom, and that can make it nice and toasty, and it is very toasty today. And that will help us with our roasting. I've got 500 grams of green bean here. I'm going to pour it into the hopper, and we're on our way.
Roasting has started.
I put the plug back up there so we save our heat. And there we go. Now it looks like my display is going crazy here, but that's just an illusion. Because if I get real close up here, you can see what I see, which is essentially it's not going crazy at all. It's just that my camera here is overloaded by the light. So I'm going to try to tell you guys what I'm doing as much as possible, okay? So, I'm roasting here in Celsius. We've got two probes. We've got the bean probe, as you can see right there, and we got the drum temperature. Okay, our bean probe is going to tell me essentially, well, what implies what our bean temperature is. I'm roasting in Celsius here. We're about 90 degrees Celsius. And our drum temperature is about 143 Celsius. Now I hit this button here, and that gives me this number here, and that's what we call our rate of rise. Okay, so we are climbing at 14 degrees Celsius per minute, and that's my time. We're at 1 minute and 35 seconds into the roast. Now, as a roaster, there are several things I'm looking for. And one is around when this reaches, our bean temperature gets to around 100 degrees Celsius. And I'm going to pull out this right here. It's a little sampler. I can get a sample of green beans. As you can see, if I can get it in shot. And I keep checking on that. I can check the color, and since I can actually take it out, I can check the smell too. And around this time, I should be getting a nice wet grass smell, okay? You can see there's a nice big display window on the Aillio. So if I want to just look at the color, I can do so right there. Okay. Now, the next step after the wet grass I'm looking for, as the beans begin to yellow, I'm going to look for a hay smell, which I will experience around 130 degrees Celsius. Okay? Checking on it now. Still getting wet grass. And I generally want to reach that around, I'd say, 3.5–4 minutes into the roast. I've just boosted up my power right here. This controls my fan speed. My power is at 9, so it's as high as it goes. My fan is at 2. Now as I get the moisture out of the beans, I'm going to want to increase the fan. Okay? And that's going to prevent me from getting too much smoke build up in the body of the roaster. Okay, we're still getting there. Our rate of rise is around 13 degrees per minute. And since I roast according to the Scott Rayow school of roasting, well, there are several different schools I roast according to. And in doing so, I have my own style of roasting, which I think is important for every roaster to have. And what Scott Rayall says is that that number there, the rate of rise, should steadily be decreasing throughout the roast. Okay? Alright, it's getting nice and sweet smelling here. Okay, after the hay smell, we're looking for a nice baking bread smell, which is what we're going to experience here any time now. Okay, that's what I'm getting now. It's transitioning from hay into baking bread. Alright, we're just going to keep our nose out. I want to say keep our eye out, but we're going to keep our nose out for that. Okay. Now, you can see we've gone to 9.9 here, 10, 9.9. It kind of will go back and forth here. I'm going to increase my fan speed a bit, and that's going to help slow us down here as well. For about 5 minutes, 40 seconds into the roast. This is something I'm not used to as much, because what I'm doing here is I'm essentially roasting with one hand, because I'm holding the camera with the other. So normally I would be taking notes, but fortunately the camera will record anything I would be taking anyway. Alright, we're at 9.3 here. I'm going to turn the fan down a bit and turn the power up a little, just to keep us on track. And so I don't want our rate of rise to plunge significantly at any time, nor should it spike. And even the big roasters, this will fluctuate quite a bit. So it'll go up and down. But what you don't want is you don't want that going in one direction really hard for too long. So I've read Rayall say not more than 15 seconds you want it to plunge or spike. Okay. So we're about 163 Celsius on our bean temperature. Our rate of rise is kind of going back and forth between 8.6 and 10. Okay, now it's at like 7.8 and 9. If I see anything too dramatic, I'm going to adjust it. See how our beans are doing. We're going to reach what we call our A point here soon. And that's when the beans give off a really nice sweet smell. And it does that right before the beans are expanding to the point where they crack. And that's generally what we call first crack. And it's audible just like popcorn will crack once it gets hot enough. Sorry for the moment of silence there. Alright, it just went up with my fan. I'm going to come down on my power just a bit. Right about now is when we should start to hear some cracking. If you look out the window, see all that smoke pouring out? And that's why I've got this venting here going to the outside. Because if I didn't, all that smoke would be inside this little room I'm in. And we don't want that. Okay. 9 minutes 30 seconds. That's when we start hearing some cracking. Okay. I'm not sure if you guys can hear that, but I certainly can. And at this point, I'm just going to finish out my roast. Still watching the rate of rise here. It's at 6, and it's popping off between 6 and 8. It's trying to plunge on me now, so I've adjusted the burner up, because as the moisture evaporates, it has a cooling effect on the beans, and that causes the beans to want to plunge. And we don't want that, as I said before. We want a nice steady decline in our rate of rise. Okay. Well, we're reaching the end of the roast here. Once I see this recover, I'm going to lower our burner. I'm going to let the roast finish itself off here. I'm just going to monitor the smell and monitor the bean development. That's how smooth the beans look. It's going to tell me about when we're ready to let it go. About there. Alright. Just about there. Okay, I think we're good. Alright, so we're cooling. Now this cooling fan here is really nice, because it will get the beans cool in about 4 minutes or less. I've got my little kitchen spoon here to keep stirring it. That way, all the parts of the bean, or all the parts of the roast will cool at about the same rate. Normally on a bigger roaster, there would be cooling arms in here to pull it down for you. But this roaster is not big enough to really require that. So we get to do it ourselves. Okay? And that's about it. Now if I were doing another roast here, these are actually getting pretty cool now. It's not going to burn me if I touch it. Alright. So if I were doing another roast here, which I normally would do, I would hit this button here, and it will say back. As you might be able to tell, it's hard to see in this light. There you go. And that will get going to another roast. But since we're not going to do another roast here, I'm just going to cycle through.
Preheat to charge. Roasting finished. Now cooling.
So now it's in the cool down mode. And we're just going to cool it down. So I estimate I can do about I could probably roast about 20 bags. Well, I can get 2 bags out per roast. And if I do 20 roasts in a day, that's about 40 bags. Over 6 days, I can do about 240 bags of coffee. So, being a 1K roaster, it can roast a lot of coffee if you want. Okay? So, it's just the right size to get a good business started. And the reason why I wanted the Aillio and not any other roaster is because, well, this has induction heating, which is more efficient than gas. Plus, it has all these little tools that I'm used to, like the trier, and a nice sight glass right there. And all these things are, after roasting 15 years, I come to really rely on them. I've got 2 temperature probes here. It tells me the rate of rise. It's really got everything I could ask for. Anyway, if you got any questions, leave them down in the comments. If you want to order some coffee, be sure to visit us at our Facebook page. You can visit us at facebook.com/RubesCoffee and just look for our shop. Alright, if you got any questions, email me at dutchroaster@gmail.com, and you can also give me a call. You can find our number at our Facebook page. Alright.